You know, I forgot how massive a job like this is, and once I got started, I had no choice to commit. There was no going back. What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. You're with Chris, and today I'm super excited to be giving you an updated bookshelf tour. It's been a little while since I did one, but the shelves were getting really messy. They needed a dust. I got to the point where I couldn't fit any more books on the shelves, so I had to do a book unhaul as well and put myself to work. Now, based on past experience, I didn't want to take every single book off the shelf and start from scratch. That is too much work. Instead, what I did was empty a couple of panels and did some book shuffling. So I actually played book Tetris to get things just right. So I stuck with sections by genre, but I wrapped the sections around the walls instead of going panel by panel because it looks a little bit more streamlined, it looks a little bit more aesthetically appealing, and it made things better for expansion, particularly the fantasy section, which is my fastest growing section in the library at the moment, and I'm pretty satisfied with how it turned out. And the main focus of the relay was to showcase also all the prettier books that appear on camera. I wanted to put my best books so that they are in plain view when I am presenting content on the channel, and just so that everyone can have a bit of a sneak peek of all the awesome books I have, and I just wanted to show them off. I mean, how could you not? Because I am pretty happy with my collection to date. Okay, so let's take an up-close look where you get to see every single title that I have in my collection to date, and I'll talk to you in a few minutes. Okay guys, let's start this tour. So I'll give you a quick view of the finished product of the library, which has come up a treat. Now I've reorganized these books a little bit differently this time around, so let's go through it. The first section is science fiction, so I've got a few titles here. I've got the first 3 books of the Expanse series. I've got Frank Herbert's Dune that I plan on reading this year, and couple of Star Wars EU titles I'm starting to collect, which are awesome. And then we're moving into the fantasy section with L.E. Modesett Jr., which are nice retro paperbacks there. Some Brent Weeks. Moving into the Aragon series by Chris Paolini. Game of Thrones, which I'm yet to read. The Licanius trilogy by James Islington, and then we move into the man, the legend, Brandon Sanderson. And then we've got some Jonathan Mabry, Kagan the Damned, which I'm super excited to get into. Australia's very own Jay Christoph. And then just a random snooker trophy there. That's a whole other story I might share with you one day and give you an exhibition on my skills there. I've got Lord of the Rings, of course, some Warhammer titles, Raymond Feist, Robin Hobb, Jim Butcher, this Wolverine Omnibus, must get into that one day. And then we move over into Stephen Erickson, Malazan Book of the Fallen, which I got up to Midnight Tides and DNF'd, but I will get into it one day. And we've got the Demon Cycle there from Peter V. Brett. Not a bad series, although the core, the one on the end there, the last book in this series, couldn't get into it. Maybe one day. And then we've got a few more titles there. So what I've done is I've wrapped around the sections rather than going staggered in one bookshelf. So normally I would have fantasy going down like this, and then thriller like this. But I decided to wrap them around, and it worked out a lot better. So continuing on, we've got Short of Shannara, Tad Williams, Harry Potter, of course, Wheel of Time. I'm in the process of upgrading the paperbacks. There's the new ones there, the first 3, and then I've got older ones for the rest of the series, which I will upgrade. And then we move into manga. Some Matchbox cars there I'm starting to collect, but Vinland Saga is fantastic. I need to finish Death Note shortly. And a mug, an appropriate mug full of bookmarks. And then we're moving over into middle grade palette cleansers, I call these. I've got a beautiful set of The Wizard of Oz, all 5 volumes. I've got Percy Jackson, and then we've got Some David Walliams, which are going to be very light reads when I get to them. Skullduggery Pleasant. The Famous Five. Enid Blyton was my favourite ever author growing up. She is fantastic, was fantastic. Hunger Games trilogy, Inkspell trilogy, Neverending Story. And then we're moving to action thriller titles here. So I've got some Brad Thor, we've got some Robert Ludlum and Clive Cussler vintage paperbacks. And we've got some classics here on the end. And going back around, for the next shelf down, we have Clive Cussler continued there with the more recent paperbacks, and now we're getting into Tom Clancy retro paperbacks. Then we move on to the evolution of the new issues from a few years back. And then we get into the trade paperbacks moving forward. All up to date. Geez, I love how they look spine out. And then we get into Lee Child. And wrapping around, more Lee Child. Peter James, the Roy Grace detective series is fantastic. And then we've got some thrillers here. Jack Carr. Michael Ledwidge, he's very good. And so is Mark Dawson, actually. Jeffrey Deaver. T.M. Logan, John Connolly, some more classics here. And moving right along, we have Greg Iles. He does a Southern Gothic crime series, and he is such an underrated author. A lot more people need to read him. Chris Hammer, an Australian crime author. Chris Carter, he is brilliant. And then we get into James Patterson. We've got the Michael Bennett series here. And then we move into the Private series. And then some mini-series as well. And then we start to get into the standalones here. Lots of good titles. I'm wrapped with how neat they look now. If you thought my shelves were neat before, they are schmicko now. Took a couple of days over this last weekend to shuffle everything around and do what we used to call in the book trade a relay. More classics here. And moving right along, we've got some crime and thrillers there. We have Frida McFadden, one of my new favourite authors. Tana French. And then we get into the retro Dean Koontz paperbacks. And then we move into the larger format ones. Trade paperbacks all the way through. And then we move into horror. Some standalones. Joe Hill, Justin Cronin, Christopher Ransom, Grady Hendrix, John Saul, and Bentley Little up the end there. And coming around to the final part of the tour, we have some Anne Rice and some other horror titles here, including Richard Lehman, retro paperbacks, and then we get into the Stephen King retro paperbacks here, some retro mini hardbacks, then we get into the B format, slightly larger paperbacks, The Dark Tower, my Halloween edition, beautiful editions there, and then we get into the trade paperbacks right up into the end. And I'll just show you a bit of the study as well while I'm here. Got my comfy reading chair here. How could you not have a library and not have a good reading chair? And we've got the view out my window, which is glum and gloomy. It's a horrible winter day. Got a little coffee table here with random books, plus a couple of recent projects, and a whole stack of tarot decks there as well. Now I'm going to show you something a little bit different. I'm going to give you a peek behind the curtain. This is my workstation where I make all my videos, and oh, look at this, you've caught me in the middle of making up my latest thumbnail for this video. So I've just got to put some finishing touches on there, play around with the font color and put a background in, and then I'll make that up. I always like to make my thumbnails in advance, but there you go. Thanks for watching. So there you go, guys, a very satisfying reorganisation of my shelves, and doing the book unhaul gave me a fair bit of room left, which is very important, particularly when it's given me the perfect excuse to buy more books. I mean, how could you not? If I see a little bit of space that needs filling, I'm going to fill it with books. So don't have any choice in the matter. It is a disease, but or an illness, but it's not a bad vice to have. So thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm over 500 subscribers now, but help me get to the 1,000 subscriber mark, and I'll do another celebration. I will be doing a 500 subscriber Q&A in the coming weeks, so watch out for that. Please offer up any feedback below. Let me know what you think of the bookshelves. Does it look okay? Did I do a good job? Let me know. But until the next video, guys, happy reading.